Morning, guys and gals. Froggy here. This is my 2000 Ford Explorer that my daughter drives. It's got about 125 or 30,000 miles on it now, and I need to change the coolant again. I've already changed it once, so original I let it stay in there for about 50,000. And then I changed it at about 50, so from 50 to 120 or so. That was the second coolant charge, or the amount of coolant that went in the truck. Now I'm going to do it a third time. So this will probably be good until we're finally done with the car. So you don't need very much to do a coolant change. What I'm doing, it's what most garages do. It's just dumping the radiator coolant, not doing a flush, not putting any chemicals in there to do a flush, because we're not having any problems, not having any overheating problems. So I don't like to put any extra chemicals in there if I don't need to. But I just know by the mileage that although the anti-freezing properties are still okay, there are other additives that are in coolant that lubricate the water pump and that prevent corrosion inside the system, and those are probably used up. They don't last forever. This is ethylene glycol antifreeze. The bottle says good for all makes, all models, any color. It is actually the yellowish greenish color. I like to stick with the same color. I don't know, call me fussy or whatever, but I've got Lexus cars that have pink antifreeze. I've got the Corvette that's got orange antifreeze. This Ford has got the yellow traditional antifreeze. And what else? I guess, I used to have a couple of BMWs that had blue antifreeze. So the colors are all the colors of the rainbow. But anyway, I forgot to shoot the video when I did this yesterday, but I'm going to walk you through it so that you know how to do it. This is going to be just as good as when I actually shoot it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use this tester to test the quality of the anti-freezing part, ethylene glycol. So we're going to open up the radiator cap. Make sure the engine's not hot, because if it's hot and you open up this pressurized cap, you can get a bath of hot coolant, which you don't want to do. But this one is fine. It's just a little bit warm, so there's no pressure in the system. And what you do is just stick the tube down in there, squeeze the bulb, and let it fill with the coolant. You have to make sure that this little red indicator is covered up by coolant. And what I've got now is a reading of minus 20 degrees F. Now I could go a little bit more than that. If you live in some really cold parts of the country, you do want to go up to as much as minus 30, minus 35 F. But this truck runs in Southern California, so minus 20 is probably 30 degrees below what it'll ever get to, even if she drives the truck up into the mountains to go snowboarding, which she does do. But this is going to be okay. So check that first and see where you're at for a starting point. Now on my truck, there's a little plastic box here that's covering up the bottom part of the radiator. This might be like an off-road package, because this car did have an off-road package. You've got to take this off to get to the drain. The drain is right under here, so you need to take these two 10mm bolts out, and I maybe just take one side of it off and drop it down to show you where the drain is, because I'm not going to open up the drain. I already did that. Okay, I dropped it down. It goes right down out of the way. There's also a little plastic quick bolt, I don't know what you call them, quick bolt or something, that holds it up. It goes into a hole up there that helps you to hold it in place while you put the other two real bolts in there. Here's the drain. You want to get a little, I just used a little universal, a crescent wrench, an adjustable crescent wrench. Here, let me show you. Here's my adjustable crescent wrench, and you want to screw this lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so you want to unscrew this, and it'll start draining from here first. There's a little hole, and it'll also start draining around this plastic drain bolt. And from the radiator you'll get about a gallon and a half. Now, a gallon and a half is probably about a little more than 1/3 of the total capacity of the cooling system. So you're not really changing the whole cooling system, and that's why it's important to do it. You know, to me, you do it about every 50,000 miles, it's good enough to change, just partially change part of the cooling system. That is what you'll get if you go to a dealer and ask them for a cooling system service. Unless you pay quite a bit extra, all they do is drain the radiator and refill the radiator with a fresh mixture of antifreeze and distilled water. So drain this off into a plastic bucket. Here's my plastic bucket. You get about a gallon and a half, like I said, and then when it's done, just tighten up that drain bolt there. It's plastic, so don't over tighten it, and then you're ready to refill it. Okay, so we're all buttoned up there. Now we're going to I'm going to show you or simulate refilling the system. Now I like to mix my own 50-50 mixture. This is 100% extended life antifreeze coolant. You can also buy pre-mixed, which is, as it says, pre-mixed. It's 50% coolant and 50% water. Now let's think about the economics of this. This was $17. This is distilled water, $1. So a gallon and a gallon. I get an empty container, and I put half of this in there and half of the distilled water in there, and then I can take the other half of the distilled water, if I want to, and dump it in here. So I've got 2 gallons for $18. Now if you buy the premix, it costs, where I went shopping, about $14 instead of $17. So to me, it's really ripping you off to buy the premix. If you're willing to make a separate trip to the grocery store, get distilled water and mix it yourself. But if you like the convenience of the premix, go ahead and spend your money and do that. Use distilled water. Do not use tap water. Do not use bottled water like your drinking water. Use distilled water. The reason is other kinds of water have minerals in it. They might have, probably don't have contaminants in it, but they have minerals that are not good to introduce into your cooling system. So distilled water and 100%, and then I mix them both down to the 50-50 concentration. That's what Froggy likes to do. Once I've got that in here, once I've got it mixed up, I'll take it and get a funnel, and I'll fill up the radiator right from the top there. When I get it almost all the way full, I'll start the car. Now, the way I did this, you really should not have gotten any bubbles into the rest of the cooling system. but you still want to be careful, and you want to so you don't have to bleed the system. There are some cars based on the design of their cooling system where you might have to bleed them because they end up getting air into the system. This Ford was fine. I didn't need to bleed it. And once you've got it all filled all the way up to the top, start your car up, and you also want to close this off. And then as the car warms up, you'll start to build up pressure in the system. Remember, once you got pressure in the system, you got to be very careful with this cap. Now this is your overflow tank. This is not pressurized. It's never pressurized. If you need to add any more, there's a mark on here. It's going to be very hard to see. I put a little black magic marker to highlight it. That's the correct level if it's cold. If it's hot, if the cooling system is heated up, it goes up maybe to here or right about here. That's the cold level. So you want to make sure after you run the car and then you let it cool down maybe overnight, come out and look at this tank and make sure that the coolant is above your cold level. If it's not, then add some more coolant. You shouldn't have to add very much. I'm going to just put a little bit in here for safety. Do not fill it all the way up to here. This is for expansion and contraction. As the coolant expands and contracts, this level will get higher and lower. But I'm going to put another maybe a quart, maybe another quart in there, just to make sure I'm well over that low cold line. And that's about it. You really shouldn't have to do much more than that. If you do it now, if you've never done it, then I would recommend that you do more. You have to, besides draining the radiator, you'll have to drain the engine block. But I'm not going to show you that today because I didn't have to do it, and I'm sure I could find where those drains are, but I don't have time really to get into that today. So this is a cooling system, a coolant. They call it a freshen up. You know, you're freshening it up because the ingredients that are anti-corrosive and that lubricate your water pump have been worn out. If you do this, if you do a radiator dump every 50,000 and you use good antifreeze, I don't think you'll have a problem, and I think you'll go probably go a couple 100,000 miles on the engine. Now, one other thing, just thought of it. These pressure caps, this is a 16-pound pressure cap, they can wear out or get a little, there's a rubber seal. Let's look at that. See, there's a rubber seal. It's actually a double rubber seal. This is the part that pressurizes. It seals down in that lip down there, and then there's another seal if anything gets past there. These can wear out. So this one I replaced last time. It's still good. It's a Stant, S-T-A-N-T, made in Mexico. 16 pounds is the pressure. I've got no leaks, so I'm going to leave it okay, but I did inspect it, and I saw that there were no cuts in the rubber, and I've never seen any leaking coming out of here. So I think the cap is okay, but I just wanted to tell you guys and gals about that. If you see leakage around this cap, then you need to replace the cap. If you see leakage from the side tanks on the radiator, and most of them these days are plastic side tanks on the radiator, and they do have a tendency to fail. Right here you can maybe see the crimping. See those crimps there? They crimp the metal part of the radiator to the plastic side tanks. And that saves a little bit of weight and probably saves some cost because plastic is cheaper than aluminum. It's probably an aluminum radiator. that's an area where they can leak. Not just here where my finger's pointing, but way down. The tank goes all the way down, the side tanks on both sides, and goes all the way down to the bottom of the radiator. So check your hoses, check your radiator, your side tanks, and if you find any leaks there, then you've got to do a service on that. I hope this helps you out. Sorry I didn't shoot the whole thing live, but it just slipped my mind, but I wanted to go through it for you today. I think you should know how to do it just by watching all the steps. I gave you every single step that I did yesterday. Okay, so it's Froggy signing off. If this helps you out, give me a thumbs up click, and if you want to subscribe, I've been putting a new clickable subscribe button on the video, and I'll do that for you so you can click right on that. You don't have to go searching for the subscribe. So have a great rest of the weekend, guys and gals. See you later on the next video. Froggy out. Bye-bye.